You're watching Reality Check, This Week in Rewind. Welcome to Reality Check, This Week in Rewind. I'm your host, Quinny B, and welcome to another exciting week of reality TV recaps. Unfortunately, the social media portion has been a little slow these last few days, but that doesn't mean that we don't have anything to talk about. One subject that I want to go ahead and get out of the way in case you haven't seen my last video is I'm very aware of the fact that there's a show called Beyond the Pole. I've watched quite a few episodes. I'm actually pretty close to finishing the season because it is available online. This show actually premiered on a smaller network and has finally been picked up by a major network, i.e. WeTV, and so now it's being brought to you in your homes. But feel free to Google it, binge watch it, do whatever, but I will not be covering it because one, it's only about 7 episodes long, and personally, I feel like it really does lack depth. There's really no content, which means there's nothing for us to cover. Of course, in my usual fashion, the first show that I want to cover is The Real Black China. This The Real Black China episode is definitely probably one of the most captivating or attention grabbing, but at the same time, it's also another episode that just lacks substance. The entire episode, we watch China go through this meltdown about her appearance for Wendy Williams. She's so upset with her team for waking her up an hour early and basically telling her that she needed to be there an hour before she actually hit the stage. Which I'm just like, well, is that not just ensuring that things go according to plan? But that would be too much like right for things to go according to plan. So she kind of messes that up and they make it by the skin of her teeth. After the interview goes well, she's fine, she's happy, she's ready to smile, she's hugging, she's dancing, as if this complete meltdown that happened for, I'm sure, at least an hour didn't happen. They get back to her Airbnb and she wants to have a debrief. She wants to talk about everything that went wrong. And while everyone else is willing to take accountability and they're ready to talk about it, China is only ready to point the finger. So she did nothing wrong if you ask her. And it's clear to me that viewers that watch the show completely disagree. As I said in my last episode, this is probably the first time where we're actually able to see Tokyo in China. That destructive behavior definitely showed its ugly head on these last 2 episodes. Unfortunately, that's really the entire episode. So let's move on. And I know after talking The Real Black China, I usually go straight into grown-up hip-hop. This week, before we even hit grown-up hip-hop, I'm going to go ahead and do Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And that's only because while I enjoyed this episode, there was a lot of tributes to Nipsey Hussle that I don't really feel like need a lot of discussion. And so it makes it a little bit easier, or this recap will definitely be shorter than it has been in the past. So let's go ahead and get started. We open right up where we left off, and that is with Lyrica walking into Mr. Ray's party, Yo-Yo being there, as well as Ray J and Princess Love and Summer Bunni. So she's kind of at a table in the corner. As soon as she sees Lyrica, and Lyrica just looks in her direction, Summer Bunni starts screaming, "What the fuck do you want from me?" Like, just crazy, right? You would think that Lyrica was the one that slept with her husband and not the other way around. Apple Watts, being the ride or die that we already know she is like, girl, let's go. I'm ready to go. Things escalate so quickly here. Summer Bunni ends up being escorted out. Lyrica just leaves, and I give it to Lyrica. Lyrica is 100% a lady during this entire encounter. Yo-Yo somehow convinces both of them to sit down and talk it out, and Summer Bunni is super defensive. She sits there and tells Lyrica that it was just an iMessage, or that they were just FaceTiming, that nothing actually happened. So Lyrica gets up and walks out. Lyrica's waiting on her car. Summer Bunni ends up coming outside and saying that, well, I don't want people to look at me as someone that's always after people's husbands. I do want the opportunity to explain things to you. And then as she explains things, she admits that she and A1 have actually had sex several times. It's just so weird to me because you say one thing and then you do another. And then she quickly goes back on the defense and kind of starts attacking Lyrica. And you need to be careful I don't sleep with him again. And it's like, well, you keep saying you don't want to be seen this way, but this is how you're behaving. So odd. April, Paris, and Zell are working out. So Paris says that she's acting now and she just wants to lose a little bit of weight. Zell and Paris are also roommates. To be honest, I actually forgot that they were on the show. But is it because they weren't interesting, or is it because Mona always introduces so many characters that we actually struggle to keep up with them? I'm wondering why they're back this season, but I'm thinking that Paris is back because of her beef with K. Michelle. That'll be another storyline that people like seeing, as well as April needs some supporting cast members. She needs drama, and April herself isn't capable of bringing it. Anyway, while they're out working out, of course, they're gossiping and catching up. So April tells them about Brittany B and basically how Brittany B rubs April the wrong way. April has a lot to prove, I guess, if she's really trying to win Brittany B over. We cut to a B2K montage just about how Raz V left the group, how he came back, what's going on. And we see them being spectacular in Lil Fizz on Streets 94.5, which is where Young Jock is the morning radio host. And they answer questions about the tour, Raz B dating April or not dating April, how is that affecting the band, the money, things like that. And then, of course, they talk Nipsey. So when I say this was definitely a partial dedication to Nipsey Hussle, and I think it's only right because we're talking about Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, but I think that it would have come across as more genuine if they had only the people that really listened to his music or that were really impacted by him. It's like they did an interview with April, and April's just like, well, he was a great father to his kids, and I hope to have this type of impact on the world someday. Basically implying that she was never really a fan, never listened to his music, knew nothing about him. And while all of that is fine, that just means there's no need to interview her. So I wish that they had just been a little bit more strategic, a little bit more genuine, and maybe even a little bit more discerning when choosing what footage to air and whom to interview. If you've been watching Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, you've seen on the preview this white guy with this long, lustrous hair who is a rapper. His name is Mickey Monday. So we are finally introduced to him during this episode. Mickey Monday is at what appears to be yet another open mic, and Yo-Yo, Apple Watts, and I believe Corrupt come out to visit. While everyone enjoys his performance, Yo-Yo is concerned about him not necessarily being involved in the Black community, but wanting to be a part of the culture, which I find to be odd because if we listen to his reel before he's even really brought on camera, he talks about how he grew up in the community and how he was kind of an outcaster in his white community, as well as amongst the Black people that he grew up with within his own neighborhood. So I don't really know where Yo-Yo was going with that. Corrupt says, your flow is sick, everything's great. You're clearly hip hop. However, your appearance is rock and roll. And while I understand that, I would think that rap and society have come far enough that we are beyond kind of typecasting what a hip hop artist looks like. So I'm not quite sure where he was trying to go with that. What I do like about Mickey Monday is not only can he rap, but he's being true to himself. He's not out here necessarily trying to sag his pants or be what he thinks a rap artist should look like. Like Corrupt said, he looks like rock and roll, and I'm actually not bothered by that at all. Yo-Yo pulls Apple Watts off to the side because this is a great opportunity to talk about the things that happened at Mr. Ray's party. Of course, they're talking about Apple Watts, Lyrica, and this Summer Bunni situation. While Yo-Yo kind of commends Apple for being that ride or die friend and being that upstanding friend, basically saying that it's not okay to sleep with married men, she also tells Apple, if you're ever going to go anywhere in your career, you can't pick up all these fights. You can't fight other people's battles. What Summer Bunni does, with her mouth, her body parts, in her spare time, whatever, is no longer your concern. And if you are really looking to move forward and further your career, you're going to really have to internalize that and take that to heart. A1 is back in town and his mother Ubers to the airport to pick him up. Now what's funny is the second this episode aired and I saw his mom's lip ring, I was like, girl, that thing is hanging out. It is huge. It's literally like an earring on her lips. But his mom straight up holds him accountable. So what is this Summer Bunni chick? What is this? I heard about it. Are you sleeping with her? A1 says that he has a performance with T-Pain tonight, so he needs to be in the zone. And he's just not going to talk about it with his mother, which quickly kind of becomes a small conflict, but he gets out of the car and goes into the house. We cut to a B2K performance where it becomes even more clear that Omarion has exited VH1 Love and Hip Hop and that they better be careful with how frequently they say his name. All we've seen this season is J-Boog, Spectacular, and Lil Fizz. And when I say that's all we've seen, it's almost as if they're afraid to say his name. They can't use any footage, not even the concert footage. And I did miss the B2K concert here in Atlanta, or the whatever the tour was. And it actually made me miss it a little bit. I was smiling while watching it, and I guess it's because I used to be a major fan. But I wasn't that interested in everyone that was going, so I just couldn't justify paying that when I was only gonna maybe want to see 2 or 3 artists. After the show in Atlanta, J-Boog and Fizz hop in a car and they talk April. This is where Fizz mentions the whole, maybe I should move in with April. Our kids like each other. It could be a good situation. And J-Boog is just like, I don't think it's a good idea. What is this? Fizz is sticking with this best friends thing. Now, while I don't want to focus too much on the Nipsey Hussle portions of the show, I do think the part where Yo-Yo is visiting Jason Lee and April in the studio, where she's talking about hip hop culture and how we're losing so many influential people at such a young age, is very important. We actually get to hear a story about Jason Lee and how he lost his brother to gun violence. And we also get to hear Yo-Yo talking about how she was there pretty much when Tupac died. And that was a very touching scene to me. That's probably one of the most genuine scenes as far as this Nipsey Hussle tribute that I saw this episode. We cut to A1's performance, and Lyrica is backstage showing up, and A1 has no idea. So she watches him perform, and the irony is the song that he's singing is You Can Be My Secret or something to this effect. It's so auto-tune heavy, I actually don't know the lyrics, but I do know something about keeping things as a secret. So he comes off stage and Lyrica's back there. He's in complete surprise. Now, what I do want to say is that Lyrica did allow her friend Sia to kind of hijack the conversation initially. Lyrica couldn't even speak to her own husband because Sia was in the room taking over, which is just inappropriate. While she gave you the idea to show up, at the end of the day, this is your husband and this is your marriage and no one's in it but the two of you. So when Lyrica finally clears the room and they're able to have this conversation as husband and wife, they actually start to get somewhere. In reality, Lyrica already knows that he's cheated, right? Everyone knows it, and Summer Bunni even confirmed it. But I guess it's important to her to hear it from her husband's mouth. So while he admits it and Lyrica starts crying, he goes, well, what are you so hurt for? You cheated on me. I spent half the pregnancy not knowing if I was the daddy. This is where it gets confusing. Because Safari alluded to sleeping with Lyrica, but they claimed that that was for the storyline only. So if it wasn't Safari, who was it? We'll never get that answer, I guess. But what we do know is that they both cheated on each other. Lyrica clarifies and says, I cheated on you, you cheated on me, I got pregnant, we renew our vows, and then you cheat on me again. So I guess the insult to injury is the second cheating. Really just makes me wonder if they were really ready for marriage to begin with. They are pretty young. Lyrica leaves the room and basically says she can't do this anymore. I don't really know how much of that I believe. I'm watching them on social media. He's liking all her photos. He's commenting. Maybe he's just really trying to put in the work to get his wife back. The episode closes with more tributes and more commentary about Nipsey, and that wraps up this episode. Now let's talk Grown Up Hip Hop Atlanta. We are in the final 2 or 3 episodes, which is becoming even more clear by kind of the path that these storylines are taking. So we open with Deb and Waka eating at Flip Burger, which I believe is a pretty well-known burger chain. But the only thing that comes from this conversation is Waka kind of wanting advice on how to proceed with Tammy because she is super upset. If you recall, he went to the High Life Festival when he was supposed to be working on her project in the studio and didn't even bother to tell her. He says that she's not speaking to him, and he says that when Tammy's upset, she can be mean. So that's what he's experiencing. Deb says, you pretty much made this. This is your bed. You lie in it. I'm not calling her. I'm not trying to help you smooth things over. He actually seems a little surprised because we all know Waka's a mama's boy. And speaking of Tammy, we cut to her in the dance studio working on her choreography for what she refers to as her mini tour. When she says mini tour, she's actually referring to Candy's Welcome to the Dungeon tour. She did about 3 to 4 dates with them, and she looked really, really cute, and the choreography that we saw looked really cute, and her mom was there to show support. Her mom danced, which I really enjoyed this scene. Her mom is really just a light-spirited, light-hearted person, and I hope that some of that can rub off on Tammy, because Tammy comes off as too serious sometimes. It is important to note that Tammy confirms that she is still mad at Waka. Now on to Bow Wow. Bow Wow and JD meet up, and JD is just kind of half vegan. So he's trying these vegan tacos, and he asks Bow Wow to try them. And that's kind of just a way to facilitate the beginning of a conversation. As we already know, JD had decided to take a more hands-off approach with Bow. So I'm really wondering how this conversation was going to proceed. They talk about Shania's 21st birthday party, when Bow first met her because she was a baby, and just watching her grow up in that experience, as well as Corri, which leads Bow to ask a question about, well, we like crazy women. And JD goes, I'm done with crazy. He's had that experience before. He's way more mature. He's ready to move on. He does say something to the effect of men with power attract crazy women. Now, what I've seen on the blogs is people want to know, what power does Bow Wow have? I don't think it's the power. I think it's the brokenness in him. And I think that he likes the attention that comes with the crazy. Deb and Brat are having a spa day where they're talking about the boot camp and Drea Kelly. And Brat kind of comes clean about why she was so against bringing Drea on board. And it's because she grew up in Chicago with R. Kelly. And she says that he never hit on her. He was never inappropriate. He really did take on a big brother mentorship type attitude with her. So part of her feels like she's betraying him if she moves on or allows Drea to be a part of this venture. She's also concerned about the camp's integrity because of all the baggage that Drea Kelly's name comes with. We cut back to Bow's house, and Angela Simmons has come to visit. Surprise, surprise. She says that she just flew out to check on him to see how her friend is doing. And while she's there, his phone is ringing off the hook because Corri wants to know what her man is doing. Bow says that he's not dating anyone, says that it's nothing to be worried about, and he invites Angela Simmons to Shania's 21st birthday party. Now, my thought with that is, you already know that social media is going to go wild with this. He and Romeo have had this back and forth over Angela for how long now? You don't think Corri's not going to see that, and you don't think that she's not going to get upset? Although you probably really do want to pursue Angela, I don't think it's a good idea to string someone like Corri along. You shouldn't string any woman along, let's be clear. But somebody with a record, I wouldn't do it. Waka and BT meet up to play pool, and Waka kind of has ulterior motives here. So while BT is sharing his story and basically saying how he and Waka became cool and how he'll forever be thankful or appreciative of him for giving him his first shot and putting him kind of on the map, he appreciates Waka also for never really asking for anything. That's what makes that a sticky situation. But Waka says, hey, I really do kind of just need a favor. I just need you to get my wife's track played on the radio. And BT doesn't blink. He's like, absolutely. After everything that you've done for me, you think that I would think twice about that? We cut to Shania's 21st birthday party, and it is the red carpet treatment, VIP. JD has outdone himself. So there's a table for the friends and family kind of back in the corner. There's an area for Shania and her friends. And it's just unlimited bottles from what I can tell. So Bow and Angela Simmons hit the red carpet together, which confuses Ayanna. So the second that they walk in, of course, he introduces Angela to everyone. And then Ayanna is just like, is this a date? What is this? Corri's going to see this. And he's like, what? It's nothing. It's not a date. I'm not worried. And literally while he's out at the birthday party, Corri starts blowing up his phone. I see those pictures of you and Angela. It is clear that she is not happy. This is kind of where you see WeTV setting up the build-up for what is going to be the season finale that we saw in the trailer, with her with the crowbar looking like she was ready to bash his car windows in. They cut to a smaller scene where Drea is talking with her children about her excitement with joining the boot camp, and they congratulate her and also just note that she always perseveres. It's kind of bittersweet because we as the viewer know how Brat feels about her, and if Brat had her way, Drea wouldn't be a part of this. Drea, Deb, and Brat meet up at a location, I guess, to dance and talk through the format of the boot camp or how much Drea is going to be involved. And Brat kind of starts making this argument for why they don't need Drea. What I think really happened is Drea rubbed Brat the wrong way when she was asking her to dance. Brat is like, I don't dance. I don't do that. I do a little 1-2 step. I'm not going to learn any choreography. I'm not trying to be sexy. And Drea just kind of kept pushing it. And then Deb also kept pushing it, which I think upset Brat even more. So Brat dropped a gem on them. She said, no is an answer that doesn't require an explanation. She said it several times, and it's something that I think that we have to drill into our minds. We as people tend to say no, but then feel the need to explain why we say no. And instead of it being no with a period, we put no with a comma, etc., etc. And Brad is just not even willing to do that. She dropped a gem on me that day. Waka makes his way over to Tammy's rehearsal. And of course, she's still upset, and he's tired of getting the silent treatment. Of course, they kiss and make up, but not before they have a real conversation about why what he did bothered her. It's a cute scene, and I appreciate it because it shows that a marriage is work. It's not all kissing and hugging all the time. This episode closes with Bow getting a call from Ayanna, and they're talking about Corri and the party and just everything. What Ayanna is doing is kind of trying to look out for him. She says, be careful with Corri because I've seen some of her social media posts. They're pretty threatening. I don't want you to be hurt. And he's like, threatening how? And it was, one of them was to the effect of, you saw what she did to him. Wait till I get a hold of him. And that kind of shocks him. It sends some type of alert to him for him to finally understand that you can't play with people like that. Definitely a cliffhanger and definitely a way to set us up for the final episode of the season. Now on to Real Housewives of Potomac. We are at Giselle's home where she has gone shopping for her girls' trip, but we find out that she hasn't quite shared this information with her daughters. She has her daughters Adore and Angel come into her room, and they're kind of giving her fashion advice. She tells them that she's going on a ladies' trip, but then to kind of brighten their mood, she tells them that she got them something as well. My thought was maybe another outfit, maybe a mommy-daughter trip coming up. Nope. The surprise is candy. What we do find out is that because Monique is so pregnant and so close to her due date that she can't travel. So Giselle says, well, can we invite Katie in her place? Ashley's at home with Michael preparing for the trip as well. And of course, they're talking about Katie and Katie's comments about Michael. They talk about Katie's comments about Ashley and Michael selling the restaurant, as well as the comment or the story that Jacob shared as far as Michael about the personal and the professional phone calls and what phone he should answer in the event that Michael calls. This season, we've really gotten to see how Karen and Monique's friendship has grown. So Karen accompanies Monique to the chiropractor. She says her pelvis is hurting, her back is hurting, so she just needs to get adjusted. So they meet at the chiropractor, and of course, after that treatment, they have to do some girl talk. Monique asks Karen, what does she hope to get out of this trip in the Cayman Islands? And Karen says, well, I hope that all of the ladies are able to lay all of their issues out on the table and we're just able to move forward. Karen wants to talk about Giselle's behavior at Robin's open house, as well as Giselle's criticism of Karen's behavior in New Orleans while she was grieving the loss of her parents. We're talking about her being on Instagram instead of wanting to go out with them that night. It is also important to note that Robin says in her confessional, she expects an apology from Giselle. So what's unclear to me is how many weeks, how many days have transpired between the open house and this Cayman Islands trip. And I'm sure that she and Giselle have hung out since then. So I'm wondering, why is Robin taking such a passive approach to this? Why don't you just confront Giselle and say, girl, you owe me an apology? I feel like that's going to come back to bite her in the butt. It's time for the trip, and all of the ladies arrive at the airport on time and ready to go, of course, for Robin. Robin actually ends up missing the entire flight. Now, what I've read online is that the crew had set her pickup for her car at 6 a.m., which did not allot enough time for her to get to the airport because she stayed at least an hour away from the airport. This is another example to me of Robin being passive. You are supposed to be the host of this trip. So how does the host miss her own trip? Because Robin and Giselle are supposed to be best friends, Giselle feels as though she can assume the title as the Caribbean queen, since she already calls herself the Creole queen. She invites herself or assigns herself to be the host in Robin's absence. What we find out when they FaceTime Robin is that Robin actually gives Ashley the power of host, as well as gives Ashley the suite in her residential room. So she and Ashley will be sharing a room, which Robin feels just completely demoted. Robin also makes it clear that Giselle and Karen will be sharing a room, and I see what she's doing there. She's trying to force a conversation. And because she says that they're going to share a room, they decide that they're going to sit out in the lobby and hash things out. You know how these ladies do when they argue in lobbies. Things get loud. This situation is absolutely no different. Giselle is basically attacking Karen because of how she was grieving. And Karen says that Giselle just lacks empathy. And while it might have been a good idea to get them to air their grievances, I don't think the lobby was the appropriate venue. And the ladies quickly realized that. They draw all of the attention to themselves to the point where Candace has to go, hey, bring it down. We're in the lobby. No arguing in the lobby. Can we just not argue in the lobby? And what ends up happening is Giselle goes up to the desk to change her room assignment. The ladies go up to their rooms to decompress and unpack. Meanwhile, Robin is still in DC. Giselle and Ashley meet out on the beach to quote unquote talk things over. But what they mean by talk things over is talk Katie. Ashley has every intention of confronting Katie today at dinner about the Jacob comments, about the selling the restaurant, because Ashley says that she thought that Katie was her friend. And so to think that Katie's going back and using this as ammunition is hurtful. The ladies get ready for dinner on the beach, and then they subsequently meet on the beach as they head to the beachfront restaurant. What is clear is that Ashley cannot hold it in, so she immediately confronts Katie. The conversation goes from being a sponsor or taking care of Jacob to sleeping with 80-year-old men to I didn't call you dumb, but you might be stupid. Just a lot. Actually, what Katie said in this particular scene is that you are dumb and stupid. They talk about who owns Oz, and it is just throwing darts back and forth. Katie is clear about feeling as though she has nothing to apologize about simply because all she did was chime in on a conversation that Ashley's quote unquote friends were having about her. That she had said nothing different than what Robin, Giselle, Monique, Karen, any of these other ladies had said. So why is she being held to a different standard, and why is she being attacked? The ladies get to dinner and Karen and Giselle go ahead and tackle their issues. They apologize and they agree to move on, but I don't feel as though that relationship will ever be the same. Giselle brings the conversation right on back around to Katie and Ashley, where nothing is resolved. Katie and Ashley both stand their ground. Ashley is attacking Katie, and Katie says, everyone said something about your husband, so why are you just coming for me? Also at dinner, Karen reveals that she's having a kind of a launch party, a reveal party for the Grand Dame, and she'll be inviting all of the ladies, even Giselle. The ladies decide to go and have a nightcap in the lobby, and Robin arrives. So nightcaps get moved up to the presidential suite, which thank goodness they do because things get heated. This conversation with Katie and Ashley just won't die. And this is where Ashley really kind of starts taking low blows. I don't think you're strong enough to hang out with this group of ladies. You have things going on in your life. Basically trying to call Katie dumb, a sponsor, just so many different things. And this is where Katie goes, well, I don't think I called you dumb, but you might be stupid. But it's also because Ashley has made snide remarks under her breath towards Katie and didn't expect to be called out on it. Ashley makes comments about Katie's wig and calls her weak. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, Katie's self-made. So even if she is a sponsor, she can afford to be one, which makes Jacob no different from Ashley. And that's where the episode ends. What we see for the preview is that they're saying that Katie left the trip because she was just over it. But we won't know until next week. And of course, last but not least, let's talk basketball wise. We pick right back up where we left off, and that is with the argument at the skating rink between Jackie and Malaysia. You don't know who's coming for who, what is happening, and things finally settle down. As soon as they settle down, they pick right back up. What is so odd to me is how Jackie Christie is able to go from 0 to 100 and then back down to 0. So whereas Malaysia is breathing and I'm calm, but I got her. We gonna fight. We gonna get to the bottom of this. Jackie goes back to complimenting costumes. I love this costume. You look great. I love this hair. It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde almost. While all of this is going on, Jennifer and Dominique are standing off to the side looking completely confused. And these are the people that allegedly started this rumor. Jackie has it out for everybody though. So after she calms down and compliments a few costumes, she sees Phoebe and was like, "What's up, little bitch? Let's go." She's ready to address this whole Tammy, the rapping, and the age thing, but she's ready to do it with her hands. Phoebe does this whole "what's poppin'," which immediately takes me back to Cardi B on Love and Hip Hop New York, because we know that that was her thing. And Phoebe, depending on how her makeup is done and her styling, she has an uncanny resemblance to Cardi B. Just made me think, maybe that's a New York thing. Jackie is ultimately escorted out of the event, and Kristen and Evelyn go to the door to talk to Jackie. Now, this is what I do find to be odd. Evelyn was just talking to Malaysia and saying, "Forget Jackie, she's not your true friend." But then she goes outside to talk to Jackie to kind of get both sides of the story, while Jackie kind of has a breakdown. And it's almost just kind of like Evelyn is here stirring the pot. I can't quite figure out what her angle is. Jackie makes it clear to Kristen and Evelyn that she was just trying to help. Jen says that she wants to have a sit down with Jackie because she needs to clear the air and figure out where this entire rumor came from. Shawnee and OG arrive late. They have to fill Shawnee in on what happened. OG tells Evelyn, "I'm upset with you over the Toji comment," but the party goes on. Kristen meets Thomas at work for lunch, and she tells him about everything that happened at the party. She also clarifies that the reason that Thomas missed the party is because he was actually out having lunch with Byron, which is his dad. So they were out trying to reconcile their relationship. He also fills her in on the things that happened there and says that they still have a lot to work through, but it's possible. Kristen also says that she wants to apologize to Byron for her part in the drama, basically for implying that he was a bad grandfather, and a few other things that she said in the past. Jackie, Cece, and OG all meet for drinks and of course to talk about this skate party. Jackie says that she was almost jumped by Malaysia's family, says that someone popped her in the head. Cece, in spite of her and Kristen and Malaysia having whatever issues that they have, she still encourages Jackie to try to repair the relationship. This is where Jackie comes up with this great idea to have court. And she says that because OG is pre-law or criminal justice, she wants OG to play the judge. OG agrees. Jen, Dominique, Evelyn, and Malaysia all meet up to talk about the skate party, because what else do you have to talk about? Malaysia says that she's not even really upset about the rumor, but upset that Jackie went to everyone in the group instead of coming to Malaysia directly to help clear it up. Evelyn goes ahead and calls the guy again and puts him on speaker with everyone in the room, and we get to hear kind of how the story has changed. So first it was Jen that told Dominique that told everyone in Atlanta, to Jen that told Ashley that told Dominique that told everyone in Atlanta. What he didn't expect was for Dominique to go, "Honey, I'm right here, and what are you talking about?" That kind of gets shut down really quickly, and you kind of get to see that these rumors are so false. Regardless of any of that, Malaysia says that her friendship with Jackie Christie is over. Jackie and OG are out shopping for this court date, and Jackie is really using OG as the proxy to get people to come, because if Jackie sent it out, it wouldn't happen. So not only are they shopping for furniture, but Jackie is kind of telling OG the format in which she wants things to go, as well as telling her to be extremely vague on the invite, because if you provide too much description, people aren't going to come. Evelyn invites Phoebe to come to her CBD product launch photo shoot, and they just kind of talk about a variety of things. Two of the main topics that are covered are that Evelyn's going to meet up with Chad's daughter because she hadn't seen them since things happened, the domestic violence situation, and Phoebe thinks about her behavior at the skate party. She doesn't like being brought out of her character, and she just doesn't want to be convicted of elderly abuse. Cece and Byron talk about his conversation with Thomas, so we kind of get to hear his side of the story, which for once, stories mirror. Cece also fills Thomas in on the Malaysia rumor, as well as all of the drama that she heard that happened at the skate party. She also mentions this court date thing that OG and Jackie are coming up with, and Byron immediately says, "You can't go." Cece later says that she didn't want to go, but she seemed a little shocked at him putting his foot down and being firm in saying that she can't go. Did it come off as possessive or just as someone that's fed up with these messy ass ladies? Jackie and Jen meet up to clear the air. And Jen says the first time that I heard about these rumors was from you. So the fact that you even took these around the group and kept it moving is your fault. And Jackie goes, well, I don't know what's fact from fiction. I don't know what to believe. And it's just so crazy. It's one of those scenes where Jackie just comes off as super, super crazy. So they kind of get into a very small argument, but nothing is really resolved. It makes me wonder, though, based off the way that Jackie's behaving, if she has something under her sleeve, if she was going to fly this guy from Atlanta out as a witness or whatever to this whole court situation that she had going on, which I can go ahead and burst your bubble. She did not. Evelyn meets with Chad's daughter and they talk about how long it had been. Evelyn apologizes for the timeline of events that happened because she met Carl pretty quickly after the situation with Chad. She says that not that she didn't love Chad's children, but she wanted to also respect her new relationship. She also talks about the embarrassment of what Tammy said and how that may have impacted them. She talks about how she's always loved the children and wanted to protect them, and how she's always wanted to continue a relationship with them. So she apologizes for becoming distant, but now would like to repair that. It's the day of court and Jackie has food, drinks, and witnesses. She has this Dion guy, the one that was, you're not going to come to my best friend like that. She has him coming as her witness. Now, what his purpose was as far as what he was going to say, what his testimony is, we'll never know because we didn't even get to that part. So all of the ladies arrive and everyone is super, super confused. Jackie is already sitting on the stand. She puts her hand on the Bible and she gives her version of events. I'm just going to be honest. Jackie sounds and looks straight up crazy. None of this makes absolutely any sense. All of the ladies are confused. So when Evelyn also stands up and provides her point of view and basically tells Jackie that they've given this person that was on the phone too much light and too much attention. And Dion gets to screaming and cussing and Evelyn goes, well, I want to know who you talking to. So things escalate, things blow up really quickly, but they're able to get them to die down equally as fast. Malaysia takes the stand and her whole thing was simply, I wanted Jackie to come and talk to me first before this thing even grew legs. And that's where my issue lies. She's hurt. She's done. That's it. Don't talk about her kids. OG orders for them to stay 100 feet away from each other for 3 months, which, I mean, did we really need court for this? As Shawnee says, a total waste of time because Malaysia's already reached her decision. And that is that she will no longer be dealing with Jackie Christie. And that wraps up this week's recap. Thank you so much for watching. And you already know what to do. If you like this episode, make sure to hit like. And don't only just like it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so that you are always a part of the conversation. And I can't wait to see you next week. Bye-bye. This video has been Queenie B approved. Thanks for watching. But don't stop there. Let's head on over to Instagram and Twitter and keep the conversation going. I'll meet you there. Bye-bye.